Thank you all very much for coming. My name is Brian Anderson. I'm the editor of City Journal. I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the Manhattan Institute. Now, anyone on the right side of the political spectrum, especially in New York, is familiar with the stereotype of conservatives as uncaring, uncompassionate, greedy, selfish, mean-spirited, jerks. It's true in some cases. Now, after yesterday's stunning election, I suspect that stereotype will be getting a very vigorous workout. Now, those on the right who don't like having such charges leveled at them, and there are some of us, have to varying degrees and in various ways pushed back over the years. Now, George W. Bush called himself a compassionate conservative. Senator Rand Paul said recently that the Republicans need to show our compassion for people. Even the great conservative hero, President Ronald Reagan, felt compelled to respond to the charge that the right doesn't care when he said, "I believe the best social program is a job." The decades-long liberal push for activist government and ever more expansive and expensive public programs has been predicated on the notion that government must be empathetic, that it must show concern for the plight of struggling citizens. Now, unfortunately, many liberals seem not to care whether programs such as Head Start actually work. The evidence suggests that program, anyway, doesn't. Only that these programs exist and by their existence demonstrate that government cares. Now, conservatives have sometimes played along with this kind of narrative, arguing not for a complete reordering of government priorities, but for improving the efficiency of lumbering, bloated, and ineffective programs. But what if we've all been missing the point? What if compassion is neither the essence of personal virtue, as conservatives have sometimes framed it, nor the ultimate purpose of government, as liberals and progressives believe? Now, that's the argument that Bill Voegeli makes in his provocative new book, The Pity Party, which has perhaps the greatest subtitle in the history of publishing, A Mean-Spirited Diatribe Against Liberal Compassion. Now, William Voegeli is a senior editor of the very excellent Claremont Review of Books. He's a visiting scholar at Claremont McKenna College's Henry Salvatori Center. He holds a doctorate in political science from Loyola University in Chicago, and he was for a long time a program officer for the John M. Olin Foundation. He's written for numerous publications, including City Journal, where, among other things, he has offered penetrating insights into California's future and a spirited defense of anti-tax absolutism, which was one of our most trafficked pieces of all time. His previous book was Never Enough, America's Limitless Welfare State. And he's also not mean-spirited at all. He's a charming, pleasant, and urbane man, as you'll now discover. William Voegeli.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the day, when I lived down the street from Larry and Kathy Moen and worked at the John Olin Foundation with Janice Riddell and Jim Pearson, I used to come to a lot of these Manhattan Institute events. And I learned a lot and heard some great speakers, so it's a real honor to be here with you today. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have what is starting to seem like a writing career if it weren't for Carol Mann of the Carol Mann Literary Agency. So I'm very glad to see her here. And I'm also glad that two of my editors are here, Brian Anderson, who has edited all my pieces for the City Journal, and Adam Bell, director of Broadside Books, which has published The Pity Party. You will get a growing sense of their editorial skills as you reflect on the fact that I prepared today's remarks all by myself. So, modern American liberalism and compassion. What's up with that? Kindness covers all my political principles, says President Obama. A prominent liberal writer asserts that the quality that really sets progressives apart is that they care about other people, not just themselves. And conservatives shake their heads. Can liberals really be so fatuous as to believe that the profound challenges of politics, which have confronted and usually gotten the better of statesmen and philosophers for millennia, are in fact so simple that gentle admonitions to play nice are all we need to secure justice and peace? Are liberals really so self-righteous as to insist that opposition to, or even skepticism about, their project can be explained entirely in terms of their opponent's greed, cruelty, and pathological mean-spiritedness? The shortest possible answers are yes and yes. The longest possible, or at least the longest publishable answer is The Pity Party, now available in hardback and ebook editions. An in-between answer, I know that news stories have, and opinion pieces have nut graphs. The nut graph of The Pity Party would be that the problem with compassion, a big part of it is contained in the word itself. It derives from the Latin, excuse me, all right, I don't talk, you know. Compassion literally means to suffer together. And that suffering together doesn't mean identically. It's not like necessarily in a, oh, I have, I don't know what to do with it. But thank you, bro. Suffering together in the political context always turns out to mean your homelessness, your hunger, your illness, your distress, fill in the blank, makes me feel that, it affects me. And now, because of that reaction, my reaction to it, I have, in a way, a self-regarding reason to care about your problem. So far, so good. But that self-regarding turns out to be a sort of a trapdoor, because what we see too often is that the liberal project, as it rolls out, is much more concerned with caring about caring than caring about helping. Liberals, as a result of the strange moral logic of compassion, I think wind up weirdly indifferent to whether their project actually does what they want it to do. If the empathizers are feeling better, it turns out not to matter that much whether the empathizees are faring better. And that ought to be the goal of any rational government set of public policies. So let me talk a little bit about how compassion wound up being integral to the liberal argument. First of all, liberals are in favor of the modern bargain, which holds that the most basic political problem, getting people to live together peaceably, can be solved by a social contract, a mutual non-aggression pact, where we agree to disagree about big, contentious questions, religion chief among them.